On February 8, 2023, a submersible called Fendouzhe, the name translates as striver, descended into the Diamantina Fracture Zone in the southeastern Indian Ocean. The crew were looking for geological fluid activity, tectonic vents, mineral chemistry, routine deep ocean research at 7 kilometers depth. Then the floodlights caught something pale against the dark sediment. A skull, large, unmistakably cetacean. Then another skull, then a ribcage half buried, then more. Over the next 5 weeks, across 32 dives, the Fendouzhe crew documented 485 whale remains stretched along 1,200 kilometers of ocean floor, some of them 5.3 million years old. The findings were published in the journal Nature in June 2026. They immediately rewrote what scientists thought they knew about life at the bottom of the world. The researchers estimate that more than 10 million whale carcasses lie in this single underwater canyon, that those carcasses contain 6.7 million tons of sequestered carbon, that some of the ecosystems living inside those bones have been running continuously since before modern humans existed. But the bones were not the part that shocked the research team most. It was what they found living inside them. Welcome to the Abyss Report. This is the story of whale fall. When a whale takes its last breath, its lungs stop holding air. A full-grown blue whale can weigh over 150 tons. Without inflated lungs, there is nothing keeping that mass at the surface. The carcass loses buoyancy and begins to sink, slowly at first, then faster, dropping through thousands of meters of increasingly cold, increasingly dark, increasingly pressurized water. It can take hours, sometimes days. Eventually, that enormous body settles onto the seafloor with a silent impact that sends a plume of sediment drifting through the black water like smoke. Scientists call this event a whale fall. And on the deep ocean floor, where nutrients are so scarce that organisms survive on a slow drizzle of dead plankton called marine snow, a whale fall is the equivalent of a city-sized food source dropping from the sky. One single whale carcass delivers as much organic material as 2,000 years' worth of marine snow falling continuously. Researchers estimate that roughly 600,000 whale carcasses are sitting on the ocean floor right now in various stages of decomposition. Before commercial whaling decimated global whale populations, that number was closer to 690,000. Each one of those carcasses becomes a separate ecosystem, a temporary universe of life, built on death in total darkness under crushing pressure. The first documented whale fall was discovered almost by accident. In November 1987, a research submersible called Alvin was conducting a routine survey of the Santa Catalina Basin off Southern California. On the final dive of the trip, the sonar pinged something large sitting on the seafloor at 1,240 meters. When the lights illuminated it, a 21-meter whale skeleton, partially buried, its bones covered in thick mats of white bacteria. Clams, mussels, snails, species never before recorded in that basin, thriving in the hundreds on a single dead whale. Oceanographer Craig Smith had just discovered the first documented whale fall ecosystem. In the 3 decades that followed, only about 120 more would be found worldwide. That is why the 2023 Diamantina discovery of 485 sites in 5 weeks was so extraordinary. Within hours of a whale hitting the seafloor, the scavengers arrive. Sleeper sharks glide in from miles away, drawn by the chemical signature of decaying flesh dissolving into the water column. Rat-tail fish circle the perimeter, patient scavengers waiting their turn, while crabs scuttle directly across the whale's belly, first to the softest tissue. But the real first responders are the hagfish. And hagfish are genuinely one of the most alien animals on this planet. They are jawless, functionally eyeless. They have been on Earth for over 300 million years, predating the dinosaurs by a comfortable margin. When a hagfish finds a whale carcass, it does not feed from the outside. It burrows directly into the body through any available opening, the mouth, a wound, a gill slit, and eats its way through the soft tissue from the inside out. And if anything tries to eat the hagfish while it is feeding, the hagfish produces slime, protein threads with tensile strength comparable to spider silk, expanding on contact with seawater so rapidly that a single hagfish can fill a bucket with gill-clogging material in less than 1 second. A shark that bites a hagfish immediately gags and releases it. Alongside the hagfish, the giant isopods. Scale a common garden woodlouse up to the size of a football. 50 centimeters, 14 legs, 4 sets of jaws, compound eyes with over 4,000 individual facets. Sleeper sharks themselves can grow to 7 meters, yet move at barely a kilometer an hour, among the slowest swimming large sharks on Earth, and still always among the first to arrive. This first stage, the mobile scavenger stage, strips a whale carcass of its soft tissue within months, sometimes as long as 18 months. Thousands of pounds of blubber, muscle, and organs consumed by creatures that traveled miles through total darkness to be there. By the time the soft tissue is gone, the whale fall does not die. It transforms into something stranger. In 2002, scientists at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute discovered a species of worm living on the bones of a gray whale at nearly 3,000 meters depth. These worms had no mouth, no stomach, no gut, no eyes, no legs. The scientists named the genus osedax, Latin for bone devourer, and they could not have picked a more literal name if they tried. They do not chew bone. They secrete acid through their skin, the same type of acid pumping mechanism that human bone cells use during natural bone remodeling. Root-like structures branch out below the bone surface, packed with symbiotic bacteria that digest the fats and proteins the acid frees. The worm does not eat the bone directly. It farms microscopic organisms inside its own body that eat the dissolved bone on its behalf. Only the female osedax worms are large enough to see. The males are microscopic, living inside the bodies of the females. Researchers have counted over 100 males packed into a single female's gelatinous tube, doing nothing but providing sperm. A single whale skeleton can host tens of thousands of individual worms simultaneously, each one independently boring into a different section of bone. 26 species of osedax have been identified so far. Some have since been found on the bones of cows, pigs, and other terrestrial mammal carcasses deliberately placed on the seafloor by researchers, proof the worm isn't picky about whose skeleton it dissolves. Fossil evidence suggests these worms have been dissolving marine bones for at least 100 million years. They were eating plesiosaurs before whales even existed. It took over a century of ocean exploration before anyone found the first one. It had been down there the entire time. The fourth and final stage of a whale fall is where things shift from disturbing to genuinely mind-bending. This is when the whale skeleton stops being a carcass and starts being a power plant. Whale bones are extremely porous and loaded with lipids, up to 60% fat by weight. When anaerobic bacteria break it down, they produce hydrogen sulfide as a byproduct, toxic to almost everything on the surface. On the deep seafloor, it is fuel. Chemosynthetic bacteria colonize the bones, feeding on the hydrogen sulfide and converting it into energy through chemical reactions rather than photosynthesis. Giant tube worms anchor to the vertebrae. Clams and mussels cluster along the jaw. Snails graze the bacterial mats. This sulfophilic stage can persist for 50 to 100 years on a single whale. Osedax worms release larvae into the current before their host whale is even fully consumed. Those larvae drifting through total darkness until they land on another carcass somewhere else in the abyss. One dead whale can power a thriving community of hundreds of species for longer than most humans live. The animals found here are strikingly similar to those at hydrothermal vents thousands of miles away. Some belong to the exact same genus. Scientists believe whale falls function as evolutionary stepping stones, letting deep-sea chemosynthetic species hop between carcasses, one dead whale at a time. A skeleton in its final chemosynthetic stage can host more individual animals than a coral reef of equivalent size, in a place with no light at all. The Diamantina Fracture Zone sits in the southeastern Indian Ocean, west of Australia. A rift valley created roughly 50 million years ago when the Australian and Antarctic tectonic plates pulled apart. The canyon reaches depths of up to 7,002 meters and extends approximately 1,200 kilometers along the seafloor. Its walls form a steep V-shape, funneling debris downward. Sedimentation rates are almost non-existent, less than half a centimeter of new sediment per 1,000 years. Bones that land here do not get buried. The cold, stable water and mineral-rich sediment coat them in a protective crust, combining with the near absence of burial to preserve whale remains across geological timescales most fossils never survive. The Fendouzhe submersible, one of the few crewed vehicles on Earth capable of reaching 11,000 meters, and previously the first to touch the bottom of Challenger Deep, descended into this darkness on February 8, 2023, led by Dr. Xiaotong Peng of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, whose crew had planned to study tectonic vent chemistry, not whale bones. Across 32 dives, the team documented 485 whale fall sites along the corridor. 476 were ancient fossils. 5 were active whale falls, complete with living ecosystems. The researchers surveyed only about 0.25 square miles in total, a fraction of the canyon, and still found up to 760 whale remains per square kilometer, the highest density ever recorded anywhere on the planet. Extrapolating across the full zone, the team estimated more than 10 million whale carcasses containing 6.7 million tons of sequestered carbon, equivalent to roughly 4,700 years of the regional marine snow input. The fossils were overwhelmingly beaked whales, deep-diving predators that hunt squid and fish at depths beyond 3,000 meters, spending their entire lives in near-total darkness even before they died. Among the specimens, the team identified an entirely new extinct species, Pterocetus diamantina, named after the trench itself. Identifying it required comparing its bone density, tooth sockets, and skull ridges against every known beaked whale on record. It will likely never be found anywhere else. It lived, died, and was preserved in exactly one place on Earth. The oldest skull recovered was dated using strontium isotope analysis to 5.3 million years ago, the early Pliocene, meaning the Diamantina Zone has been receiving whale carcasses continuously for over 5 million years. Before this expedition, only about 120 whale falls had been documented across 30 years of ocean exploration worldwide. In 5 weeks, one team more than quadrupled that number. 35 broad taxonomic groups of living organisms were cataloged at the site, many of the species within them likely never classified before. One active site featured a 5-meter Antarctic minke whale carcass hosting 26 different invertebrate species, and no active whale fall ecosystem had ever been documented below 6,000 meters before. Every fossil recovered adds another data point to a 5 million year uninterrupted timeline of death that nobody knew existed until 2023.
What happens to these deep ocean ecosystems when the whales disappear? During the 20th century, commercial whaling removed an estimated 2 to 3 million whales from the world's oceans. Some populations were reduced by over 90%. Blue whales alone were hunted from an estimated 350,000 individuals down to fewer than 3,000, a collapse of over 99% in barely a century. Every one of those whales would have eventually become a whale fall, every one of those whale falls would have sustained a deep-sea community for decades. A whale fall that should have landed on the seafloor in 1950 and fed a community until 2050 simply never arrived. Scientists have estimated that removing large whales from the ocean could eliminate up to 30% of the overall biomass of the deep sea. Whale populations are recovering in some regions since the 1986 commercial whaling moratorium, which means whale falls and everything that depends on them may slowly be returning too. Nobody was thinking about worms on the ocean floor when whaling ships worked the Southern Ocean. The damage reached ecosystems no one on those ships ever imagined existed. Recovery, if it happens, will not be measured in years. It will be measured the way the Diamantina is measured, in individual carcasses arriving one at a time over centuries. The Diamantina discovery proved that some of these ecosystems have been running continuously for over 5 million years, whale after whale sinking into the same trench, keeping the same cycle alive. In a strange way, it is a rare success story, proof that at least one whale fall relay never stopped running. A relay race of death and rebirth, playing out in silence, in total darkness, under pressures that would crush a submarine for longer than our species has existed. As of April 2026, only 28.7% of the global seafloor had been mapped with modern high-resolution technology. Explorers have visually seen less than 0.001% of the deep ocean seafloor, an area roughly the size of Rhode Island. The Diamantina Zone had no documented whale falls before 2023, not because they were not there, because no submersible had ever looked. The whale necropolis has been there for 5 million years. The osedax worms have been dissolving bones in that darkness for longer than the Grand Canyon has existed. And we found it because a research submersible was looking for rocks and pointed its lights in the wrong direction. None of this exists because a research team was looking for it. It exists because the lights happened to point in the right direction once. Every one of the 10 million estimated carcasses in the Diamantina alone is or was its own self-contained universe, built, populated, and eventually consumed entirely out of sight. The bacteria converting hydrogen sulfide into energy right now on some bone in that canyon have never known anything but darkness and never will. That is the whale fall, not an ending, a transfer from a life that once breathed air into a community that will never see the surface at all. Somewhere in the Diamantina tonight, a carcass most people will never hear about is beginning its own 5-decade unraveling into life. The deep ocean is the largest habitat on this planet. We have explored less than 5% of it. Subscribe to the Abyss Report. The ocean still has secrets it has not given up. We found this because we looked. The ocean has been waiting considerably longer than we have been looking.